Why did a free tool suddenly start charging you? Is it just greed, or is the math behind AI actually broken? When OpenAI tweaks access on your Mac app, it feels like a feature update gone wrong. But this isn't about software code anymore. It is an early signal of computational inflation. Just as housing and energy costs have risen because physical resources became scarce, digital services now face scarcity in compute power and electricity. This shift means the era of cheap intelligence has ended, and your future tech bills will rise regardless of which app you use. For years, we treated software like water or air, abundant and infinitely replicable. The logic was sound for decades because code is free to copy. But today, running advanced artificial intelligence requires something far more tangible: massive amounts of electricity and specialized hardware that cost hundreds of millions of dollars per run. We are witnessing a fundamental economic transition where the scarcity has moved from digital bits to physical physics. This explains why OpenAI's recent access changes feel so different from previous updates. They aren't adding new features. They are rationing a resource that is running out faster than we can create it. To understand this, you have to look at the raw math of modern computing resources versus algorithmic efficiency. Over the last 15 years, computational power required for cutting-edge systems has quadrupled annually on average. That means every single year, the cost base doubles and then some just to keep up with demand. Meanwhile, researchers have improved how efficiently we write code by roughly 2.5 times per year through better algorithms. While that sounds like a massive leap forward in engineering, it is simply not enough to offset the exponential rise in hardware costs. The math does not work if you assume technology will get cheaper over time because efficiency gains are being crushed under the weight of physical scaling requirements. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. Think of this shift using an analogy from your own life: housing and rent. In a city like New York or San Francisco, land is finite. You can write as many blueprints for skyscrapers as you want, but if there is no available dirt to build on, new construction stops or becomes astronomically expensive. The scarcity of physical space drives the price up, regardless of how smart your architects are. Today's AI landscape works exactly the same way. We have hit a ceiling where the land, the compute chips, and the power grid is scarce. As we try to train larger models with more parameters, we burn through available capacity at a rate that outpaces our ability to build new data centers or generate enough electricity to run them. This is why you are seeing subscription models replace free tiers for essential tools. It is not because companies have decided to become greedy overnight. It is because the cost floor has risen so high that giving away access becomes financially unsustainable. The primary constraint for AI is no longer code availability, but physical compute power and electricity. When a company spends hundreds of millions on hardware just to run a single training cycle, they cannot offer free services without going bankrupt. This reality forces every provider in the industry toward subscription pricing as soon as their tools become essential enough that users rely on them daily. There is another layer to this economic shift that makes it even more persistent than standard inflation. A study from the National Bureau of Economic Research confirms that AI algorithm design directly dictates market pricing in ways we did not expect before. Specifically, asynchronous learning algorithms can drive prices up toward monopoly levels because they fail to recognize that undercutting competitors yields better long-term returns without exploring alternatives. In simpler terms, even if a company wanted to compete harder by lowering prices to win more customers, their current internal systems are structurally designed to maintain high price points rather than engage in price wars. This suggests that price increases for AI tools are not just corporate strategy, but a structural feature of how these economic engines currently operate. If one provider raises prices due to compute costs and algorithmic pricing dynamics, competitors face the same pressure simultaneously because they all rely on the same physical constraints. This creates an environment where digital goods have rising baseline costs that behave more like utility bills or rent increases than traditional software subscriptions. You cannot simply switch providers to find a cheaper deal if every provider is facing identical physics-based cost pressures. So how does this change your personal financial planning? The most important step is to stop viewing these price hikes as a specific company's greed and start treating them like utility costs. If you rely on AI for work, education, or daily tasks, your software subscription is now effectively an energy bill that will likely rise every year alongside inflation. This applies across the board. If one provider raises prices due to compute scarcity, competitors face the same pressure. The era of free access has ended because the underlying resource has become scarce in a way that cannot be easily solved by better code alone. This realization requires a new kind of financial literacy for our digital age. When evaluating tech tools for your household budget or career planning, you must factor in a rising baseline cost of access rather than assuming technology will get cheaper over time, as it did with previous generations of software. Just as you would expect to pay more for heating fuel during winter or rent increases due to housing shortages, you should now anticipate that digital intelligence tools will carry a permanent and growing price tag based on the physics of their operation. The trajectory suggests this trend will accelerate as transformative AI approaches within years rather than decades. As these systems become essential infrastructure for jobs and education, the cost of access becomes part of your standard living expenses. The math behind it is clear. Computational resources required for training cutting-edge systems have quadrupled annually over the last 15 years, while algorithmic efficiency has only improved by roughly 2.5 times per year. This gap means that unless we solve the physical constraints of power and hardware, prices will continue to climb regardless of which company you choose. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.